What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin podcast. Jack, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. How about yourself?
I am making it. Andre,
Oh, you know how I'm already doing. I mean, look, you can look at Street Fighter 6 and see some things I talked about over a year ago. So, know how I'm
Hey,
feeling.
hey, just know your work's being out there, brother. Just know it's out there.
with that being said, segue. So, you can tell by the title, the state of play was this past Thursday, and I did do a live reaction. You can check it on the channel. Is Sony betting on 2023? That's the question I have for you guys, because a lot of games got shown that have a 2023, not a concrete date, but just 2023. Matter of fact, there weren't hardly any concrete dates on this thing. To be fair, except for like Tunic. Tunic is coming September 27th. So, but that game's already out on
on Xbox.
So that's expected. And then that weird cat game Stray, which
that actually looks interesting to me. Honestly,
it does. I don't see
creepy,
myself
though.
playing it, but it does look interesting though.
It looked creepy at first. I'm like, I'm not playing this little damn cat. I'm sorry. I'm just not playing this little cat. I'm not doing that. But
right.
We got RE4 remake for March 24th, 2023. Now it had been rumored that one was the next one being done, which makes sense. Still would be better without that Wiimote and Chuck, but
my thing is, why not do a remake for Code Veronica?
I would have thought that they would do that too, especially since that one was the one that was more action movie oriented, I guess you could say. Because that's when they started going that route. Like, yeah, 4 brought it back to the more the horror side, but Code Veronica was the one that made it, okay, we're not doing hardcore horror. You got a lot of guns, a lot of ammo that you can use. Like before, 1, 2, 3, 0, you couldn't.
Those all played pretty similar.
Yeah.
But Code Veronica, nah.
I mean, look, the opening introduction with Claire running into a building and then jumping off a platform like an action hero.
I ain't gonna lie, it was the tightest scene in there was when she dropped the gun and caught it and shot the fuel tank. That was tight. That was tight. You can't deny that. That was tight. So I would have thought they would have did that one first before 4, but just please don't do 5 and 6. We don't.
There's no point in doing 5.
I don't see a reason to.
Please don't do 5. Please don't do 5 because I don't know a way to fix that.
At this point, if they want to get them all done in the same style, they have to redo 0 and 1 and then Code Veronica.
Yeah,
that's true. But overall, and Spider-Man going to PC, which I thought was hilarious, seeing as how
I expected that.
It wasn't.
Yeah, that's a guarantee.
I was like, dude, yeah, it's going to PC. They finna try to make as much money as they can. And yeah, Insomniac is Insomniac is Sony's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
are they?
I think so.
I know that they work extremely close to Sony, but are they officially Sony? I don't know. Because didn't they do Sunset Overdrive?
It says you remember they took Sunset Overdrive though. Insomniac Games has become a wholly owned subsidiary of Sony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that would have been before. I think that was Sunset Overdrive came out. That was right before they bought.
Right before, yeah.
So yeah, I you know how I feel about if you got a first party exclusive, then you don't need to put it nowhere else.
No.
But in Sony's case, I kind of understand why they're doing it is because they've squandered a lot of money. And they're probably trying to get as much as they can. So
it's a false image of success when you really think about it. If you look at all the console sales and hey, everybody develops for this and everything goes to PlayStation, but the sales don't do anything on the software side like that for the money that's being put out. Then I mean you kind of have to.
Yeah. So I just So what's up, Shadow?
Wait for Jack and Daxter. Oh yeah, he did show up a little bit early.
He's a little too early.
Well, you know, I figured I'd be present today. So
yeah. Look for Jack and Daxter to happen, or Ratchet and Clank to hop over to PC.
Oh, your Ratchet and Clank's
At
going
this
for
point,
sure.
okay, so just if you were in Sony's executive room, would you be trying to push for a Jack and Daxter like remaster, HD remaster to go to PC, or just put the old one on PC?
No. Old ones, because
I
at
would
this
do the
point,
old trilogy.
yeah, the
Put it
old
on there.
trilogy for sure. Because I mean, bringing Jack and Daxter back now, I mean, I still feel like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter bump heads.
Okay.
So I wouldn't do it.
why do they think that putting games on PC will expand their audience? I guess that's probably that appears to be like the Overton window, and I don't know if I agree with that premise.
Well, I think they're just trying to get whatever money they can get.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
It's
don't
not
think
even about getting new people to buy the
Yeah,
game. It's about
it's
getting
about
people to buy the
getting
game as
rebought.
many times as
Yep.
possible.
Yeah, it's like, look, we know this is popular. If we can just get whatever extra we can get, we'll just get whatever extra we can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
Now-
I'm foreseeing that Horizon VR game ending up on
Link.
PC too.
West, yeah, all that stuff.
Do you think that's kind of satisfying people that probably also can't get a PS5 yet?
Probably.
That too.
I don't think it is.
Because
You don't think so?
but I
I
think
mean, there's
more,
20 million of them out there apparently. So
well, but I think more of it is on the okay, we didn't meet our sales numbers projections, and we need to get whatever kind of money we can get because we spent too much on this game. Like Spider-Man, they spent a lot on that game, but I don't know exactly what they needed for that. So I can see that saying, okay, look, we need to get as much as we can. So if we can, if putting it on PC will bring us in like an extra 10 mil sold, extra 5 to 10 mil sold, then so be it. Because people will pick it up. People will pick it up.
Yeah. That's puzzling to me because Sony's been doing that for years. They've been making games and franchises that are well beyond the scope of making that money back. Like they've been doing this for a while.
They can't support it. Like
finally caught up with
support it. They can't.
So now they have to be profitable because of whatever, I guess, whatever financial or somebody at the board says, okay, this will not stand. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. I mean, but you factor in too. Yeah, Sony doesn't have what Microsoft has, but at one point in time, they still had their TV division, the phone division that was doing something, not a lot, but was doing something, and now they're just completely dead.
Now just PlayStation is carrying them now, which is weird.
Sony Music, ain't it? Ain't it PlayStation and Sony Music is the only
Sony
one?
Music is still kind of Sony Music's not that great.
But Sony they still own BMG though, right?
Yeah.
So as long as they still own them, they'll still get a chunk of licensing, even though a lot of stuff is going to streaming now. They have to figure out how to diversify their portfolio because obviously, they're becoming Polaroid real quick.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on and talk about. Let's talk about. Let's go on and talk about it. Get it on out the way. Street Fighter 6. Going to get it on out the way. So I saw the trailer, and yes, Chun-Li's thighs are on point. So
they're not bigger than her head though, like they used to be. So I don't.
Well, she's older though, man.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I guess.
I thought it was funny that
she's a
people
master
were
now.
complaining. Did y'all find it funny that people was complaining about the? I thought she looked fine. Honestly.
Yeah, I thought she looked normal
good.
too. She looked like how she's supposed to look.
She looked to me
she like she's supposed to. So I'm
to
like,
me,
what?
it basically looked like she's a few years older than she was in Street Fighter 3, which is what it's supposed to be.
They just slimmed her up. That was about it.
But they did that to everybody. If you look at all the character designs, barring
all the characters look thinner.
Barring Ken, which I have a specific issue with Ken, but we're not talking about that just yet. But they did that with all of them. My biggest problem is that they put Luke and Jamie in place of Alex and Sean, because you can tell that's who they're supposed to replace. You look at Jamie; he looks almost exactly like Alex. I'm not Alex.
Y'all saw the leak picture, right?
Sean. Yeah, I saw it.
Y'all saw the leak picture. They did bulk up Dawson.
Hold up. What was that?
Oh no, that was me. That was
So we got a bonus guess.
No, hell, we don't. Guys in here.
But yeah, Dalsim is swole. Like he got the shoulder
which is weird because he's supposed to be all about yoga and like being
he's supposed to look old and skinny.
Hey.
First of all, y'all don't understand what veganism and yoga can do for you.
Right.
It really can. It really will.
Oh, that's the fantasy world.
You'll get toned for sure.
You'll get toned, but you won't get built.
You won't get up like that.
They kind of gave him the shoulders like he been.
That seem secretly taking steroids.
Hey.
He took a couple years off from the Street Fighter tournament and he became a lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs.
See, I can't stand that y'all don't realize that he went and worked out with Chris Redfield.
Oh,
that's what I just say. He Chris Redfield.
I mean, Metro City.
I mean, but based off looking at this roster, like a lot of people looked up. That's kind of crazy.
But I have one now since we are on the roster. My major problem is the look of Ken, and it's not even because of the crappy storyline they gave him. It's the crappy storyline. The crappy storyline they gave him, but then they tried to make him look like Terry from Mark of the Wolves.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looked like.
That's a direct insult.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Nah, I can't.
Like, why would they do that? Like, I don't.
Like on top of that, you as far as his story went, Ken was always like he wanted to fight, but he wasn't as dedicated to it as Ryu.
Yeah.
He was highly talented. He could keep up with Ryu, but he was not Ryu. So why would they then turn him around and try to make him be Ryu and screw his life up?
With Ryu still in the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the cloak on Ryu because it looks like Oro, and it's hinting toward him training with Oro, like I suggested. But Ken does not need to have that story. He doesn't need to have the story where he becomes a bum. The man runs a multi-million-dollar company. How is he just going to become a fighting bum? It's like once they took that story away from Cody, they needed to throw it on someone else, so they threw it on Ken.
It was either Super Turbo or Super SF2 where they did the angle where Ken is angry now because Ryu was better, so he decided he did bum and tried to figure out his own strategy to develop the Shoryu and all that. So I don't know if that's the angle they're going with again or what.
The problem is that Street Fighter 3 completely negates that.
Yeah, true. Street Fighter 3 kind of retconned a lot of stuff though.
Yeah, Street Fighter 3.
The problem that I have with Street Fighter 6. Same problem I have with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Where the hell is Sean?
Well, I don't know how Sean gonna get in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but yeah, I do have.
Where's Cosmos?
Sean is canon everywhere.
Where's Cosmos for me? But
they got apparently Sean and Laura are gonna make cameos in the game, but they're not playable.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense, especially with Laura being in 5.
Well, you gotta have
and
DLC,
she was
right?
popular.
Yeah,
you gotta have DLC.
Oh yeah, DLC.
If Sean don't show up in DLC, I'm complaining, Capcom. Y'all gonna get a long rant video.
Watch we get Dan before him though.
I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't care if we get Dan before him. I just want Sean to be there.
You gotta get Mr. Satan in there before. You gotta get your comedy character in there.
So, do you think they're gonna go that route with this, like having those guest characters, like most fight games seem to be doing right now?
They're going to do it, but one thing I'm happy they did do is bring back World Tour. That was another issue I harped on, and then it looks like when you do World Tour, it's a created character because they didn't show your character's face and nothing, and then that generic looking dude he was about to fight, that little screams created character to me. So I'm like, okay, Capcom, you did some of the things right, but then this whole mess of stuff that's wrong.
Yeah.
Sandstorm, Street Fighter 6, thoughts?
Oh man, I like the art style. I think it looks better than what we initially saw it as, and maybe they got a reaction out of that and was like, okay, we're gonna tweak it just a little bit.
Yeah.
I like old Ryu. I think that looks amazing, but I'm still trying to figure out how Chun-Li has not aged a second.
She has,
but she just, I don't know. When you thick like that,
she just got skinny.
I was gonna say, when you thick like that, I guess you ain't never. I guess I ain't look above the waist.
Yeah, I guess so.
She's more Kelly than Beyonce now.
Hey.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But overall, yeah, I think I mean it looks all right. I still got to see more on it.
Of course, yeah.
We haven't really seen like kind of the multiplayer aspect, like the full on thing. Like Andre said, I do like the world tour. Yo, any game that presents me with a created character, if that's what it really is, then
Mm.
I'm in for it. Especially if it's a fighting game. The only thing I have, the only gripes is like you got to balance that because if it's not balanced, then it's what's the point? Everybody's gonna have the same move set, and as soon as they get you in a lock, man, you might as well just.
I want to know what the weird Splatoon paint. It looks like a V trigger double council. I just saw I saw a council into a council into a council, and then there was a counter after that. And there's just paint from this character, and he's painting green. There's paint from this character, and they're painting red, and they're just like freezing frames across each other to see who gets the final blow. And I'm like, I don't know how. I know that's not in Street Fighter V. So I'm like, what is that? That's the one thing I think they didn't touch on that, and I think they put that there just to like, hey, question mark. So to see how people like it or whatever. But
was that was the when they were like going back and forth, and then he finally broke out into a breakdance?
Yeah.
Shadow, first of all, I know you already understand this, that Splatoon is popular. So we will be biting. We will be biting. Understand that.
Gotta have a Splatterfest inside of Street Fighter.
I mean, we're not gonna put this on the Switch at all.
Oh no, not at all.
Y'all know.
Which makes no sense.
Then we gonna have this in this game.
It may get a version, but it's gonna be a very generic version.
No, they ain't getting that. They ain't getting that. Y'all all know that Capcom is allergic to money.
That's true.
Man, what are you saying?
They break out in hives.
That is true.
But please remember to put Ken and Ryu in the next iteration of Smash.
Right.
There's 3 variants.
Right.
But then people say, oh, well, they put the collection on there. I'm like, but that's not the same. Like,
it's not the same thing.
No.
Right.
It's not the same thing. So can we talk about the weird game that was on State of Play season?
Yeah.
So our panel, we would drag that probably, but that's a strange.
I just don't know what it is. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing?
The one where you kind of just taking pictures and
like
you riding a bike.
Yeah.
And that game already exists. This was in another preview before. I'm trying to figure out why Sony decided to.
Was it in the previous one?
You know, those things are so hard to remember. So. I don't even know.
Yeah, I want to say it was in a 2020 reel, if I'm not mistaken.
Because I was looking at it and I'm like, I don't. It's you know what it reminds me of? No Man's Sky. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky.
You know what's kind of funny is like it's presented in a way where I like playing it wise. I feel like it'd probably be the most boring, worst game to actually play. But it looks like an intriguing thing to watch. Like I would definitely watch it if it was like a show of some sort, like an indie show or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely be into it because it's strange in that way. But it doesn't look like I want to hold a controller and move this character.
No. Or its whole purpose may be for people to play it and talk about it socially online. That might be the reason for it.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't trying to be. I really wasn't trying to be like rag on it. I just don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And that trailer did not do a good job explaining to me what the hell this is.
It's like a slice of life game.
Yeah, like is it open world? Like what's going on? Like
mail carrier and my Parappa gonna show up. It's on point.
Digital Trend says State of Play set a high bar for this summer's reveals.
Hey, I understand that. I understand why, because this next game that we're gonna talk about is really gonna change the entire landscape of all of gaming. Final Fantasy 16.
You know what?
Now, okay, I have my take on that. I understand why people are upset. It's because one, Square Enix is not very consistent with Final Fantasy.
No.
For some reason, their numbered games take on too many different forms.
Yes, they do.
So you could have a Final Fantasy action game. Nobody's saying that that's not something plausible.
No.
But it shouldn't be a mainline game. It should be something set to the side. It shouldn't just like they have MMOs in the main line. Then you have single player RPGs in the main line. Then you have an action game in the main line. Make subsections or sub-series for these things. Which the weird thing is, Final Fantasy Tactics is its own thing. Right. Why couldn't you do that with a bunch of other stuff? If you want them to be under the Final Fantasy umbrella, let them be separate series instead of everything being mainline. It causes too many inconsistent problems. The game looks good. I'll give them that. It looks like a really decent clone of Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and Dragon's Dogma. But it's not the identity people associate with it. And that's the big issue. It could be a really good game. People don't associate the mainline Final Fantasy games with action. That's it.
Right.
And that's another thing too, because like I have this issue when because I'm trying to like break it down, because I know how I like to play my RPGs. I like a mix of turn-based and action. I prefer turn-based, especially if the combat system is good.
Right.
So I prefer that. But the thing is, with like, especially with like 15, Final Fantasy 15 and 7 remake, I think they kind of went too far into the action to the point where you kind of cut some of your RPG elements out of it a little bit.
Right.
Especially 15. 15, they didn't know what the hell they want. No, I take that back. 15, the first half of that game was an open world game.
Right.
The last half was a linear game. If you didn't know that,
it was really weird.
You were going to be screwed when you got to chapter 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Because once you get to chapter 10, you can't go back.
No.
So if you didn't grind and do all this stuff you supposed to in the first 9 chapters, you were screwed.
Yeah.
That happened to me.
I just looked it up.
Game over.
Season was originally announced at the Game Awards in 2020, and it was originally announced as a third-person atmospheric adventure bicycle road trip game.
So we just put some suggestions in a hat, close our eyes, and just start picking shit. So that's pretty much what it
sounds like.
So they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They just they got told make a game. They got told make a game, and you better have something now. And that's what they did.
And they just started developing with no idea what to do with it.
None.
Like I said, it doesn't sound positive. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Life is Strange is a weird game.
It is.
If you describe that to somebody, you'll be like, no, I don't want to do this. It's episodic. Nah.
But they had a plan, though.
They did.
Look,
and there's a game mechanic that
I will say this
also helps.
I will say this. No Man's Sky started their BS. Because No Man's Sky, even they couldn't explain it. Remember them 2 years of them not explaining nothing?
And Rare, whatever game it is they're working on now. Whatever.
Well, I don't even know that game's coming out. The writer left. The director left. I don't even know that game coming out.
Wow.
And they showed a full-on trailer for it and then did the dev down and they couldn't tell me what it was. I'm like, wait a minute, you don't know and y'all did a trailer?
Wow.
Yeah, this is gonna be this makes a whole lot of sense.
Skull and Bones, that's all I can say. Skull and Bones.
I mean, I don't think I just hope it just doesn't come with what is it, like 15 did with all those, like a movie on the side,
anime,
like it's okay if it came with it like when it came out, but like don't give me that months ahead of time and then like try and build until like you did 15, because that's a waste of time. That's a waste of time and money.
Just make sure the game works as a game.
Exactly.
Kind of where I'm more at. I don't care about what actors you have in here, blah blah blah. They don't have to be good actors. There was only one known actor in what was the name of the game? Heavy Rain. The rest of that game was a lot of no names we didn't know, but they had stellar performances in that game.
Well, they were known in the voice acting world.
In the voice acting world, but not in the
mainstream,
not in the acting world, other than the quote unquote villain in the game. That was the only person that that had a name outside of the voice acting community. And it's like you don't need it. It doesn't have to have. It doesn't have to be Norman Reedus. Like you know what I mean? Like you can make.
Right.
Who knows who Sky Bennett is? Nobody knows. Like that's
You know
Pyra
now.
and Mithra. But
We know
I mean,
now.
Right.
yeah, you know now. But like, just
Nobody did before.
If the script's good and you have somebody there that can read it well, like it doesn't. You don't have to throw names out there to sell a game. Like, make sure the game's good first, and then you can put around that. And I'm not that a fan of most of David Cage's stuff, but I don't think he got better than specifically the Taxidermist DLC for Heavy Rain. I don't think he's gotten better than that. And I think once you start trying to stretch stuff past that and let's link it into a TV show, let's link it into a movie and all this other kind of foolishness. Hey, here's this AR game about nah, bro. Just focus on the game part and make that work well.
Right.
Shadow, why are you trying to make sense?
I'm sorry, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Like there are the Journeyman Project and other like click and point adventure games like the Siberia and whatnot. They perfected an old school concept of gaming. Like that doesn't. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like you can still perfect what's there. You can add all this extra whiz bang stuff on top of it. Have stellar acting and all this other kind of stuff, but make sure that's there first. Don't have this genre bending, like you don't even have all the gameplay systems intact, but you got Will Smith and freaking whoever else coming in to act like, well, we got this all-star cast or whatever, you know what I mean? Like
you have to pay their rate for.
Like what are we doing? Like make sure the game works first.
That raises the price because you have to pay their rate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anytime you get somebody like that, unless they tell you ahead of time that they'll take a pay cut, which they not gonna say that. Let's be real.
Anytime the budget of a game, when more than 50% of that goes to casting, then development, we got a problem, bro. Like, and that's a union thing. I really think that, and that's the one of the few industry standards for gaming. They have a union. Like they should utilize it and make sure all this crunch and all this contract trash doesn't happen like it's happening. Like, and they can fight against it. They just have to get together. And if not, these publishers can continue to screw development houses with these crazy projects that they're not even screening them. They're not even checking to make sure the scope isn't creeped on in these projects. They're just like giant project. We're not checking any milestones and go. And they're just like, well, we got, like I said, we got Will Smith on the cast, so it's going to do bananas. Yeah. And we're going to get our ROI. Like, no, you're not. Like, build a good game because people don't play, I mean, some people will because some people play games to impress other people. But if you have a game that you're buying and you want other people to buy it and you want word of mouth to sell in addition to your ads, the game's got to be worth something.
All right.
All right, sorry. Soapbox is deleted now.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Hey, it's a real problem.
Yeah,
it's a real problem. But it's funny to me just because most of the time those games like that don't really even interest me.
No, not at all.
Don't. Yeah. Especially when you find behind stuff behind like Heavy Rain and Detroit, where you find out that those are failed movies. Like they try to ship you to Hollywood. Hollywood like, we ain't paying for this.
Like, Heavy Rain just happened to be good. I don't know how I fell into it, and I was just like, yeah, this is executed well. Other than that, like everything else that they were talking about it beforehand, I was like, this is gonna be a bad game. What are y'all doing? Why is it? It just happened to be good, and it,
But I could have done without the controller input though.
Yeah.
To Jay's credit, because if it was a failed movie, I think I would have liked the movie, but me, like, hurry up and press L2 and R2, and then it's just finding ways to keep you busy. That's all it's doing.
Honestly, that's what the Order 1886 should have been. It was a movie.
Yeah.
They found a way to loop the gameplay concept where you wanted to go back and find out what the alternate alternate events that would happen during that scenario or whatever, during the QTEs or what have you. That's the only way that worked. Otherwise, I mean, it's Mad Dog McCree, really, at that point.
Yeah. Anything.
Click, let's watch the movie. Click.
Anything Michigan, like, I'm down for. You give me, especially if it's Detroit. But like just even looking at that game is just like, Nah, I'm good. I'll just.
But you have to understand, what is it like to be human? What are we gotta ask these questions? Like,
laser disc games.
Terminator 2 answered all that stuff for me. When that happens, I'm gonna be the one to do to be like, yeah, let's get them.
But to mention those games and kind of like answer your original question about Sony, depending on 2023. Honestly, I don't even think Sony knows where it wants to be right now, because even with the 2023 and they're not hard dated, some tells me they might get pushed again. And I think they're just trying to push as far as they possibly can until these systems get on track.
They're kicking the can.
Did you already talk about the VR jack? Because I know that was like your I was gonna say that was your biggest thing.
VR.
But it did exactly they did exactly what I thought they were gonna do. Because Sony has the opportunity to go exclusive with some of their games for sure. Like Vive can't do anything about it. Metaverse, MetaQuest, whatever, they can't do anything about it. They can literally just have a lane of their own, but they choose to take the games they already have and games in the past and then implement some type of VR experience into it. I don't think Sony's going to really take this serious. I really don't.
I hate it. They have talent.
They have it.
Look.
They have it.
Granted, yes, they yeeted out Japan Studio. I don't know why they did that. I love
that was stupid.
I love Patapon. I don't know what they were thinking, but the amount of projects they could have done with that with Move, just Move alone, like I don't understand, why did you build this thing if you yourselves didn't plan on maximizing on it? Like, the goal shouldn't have just been, we can't be behind if Nintendo's doing it. That should not be. That should not be the reason why you're creating this. It bewilders me when you see the amount of talent they had, and that's, I'm going to admit something here, and people are not going to like it. PS1 was my favorite console from them.
No,
they had the best. They had the best talent, the best pool of talent then, because they were literally throwing stuff against the wall. They're like, you go. What kind of weird things can you come up with? Some of it extended to PS2. That's where you had Katamari and all the other kind of stuff started happening. But the majority of it was PS1, and they were like just throwing, like coming up with cool ideas, and I think that's lost on them now. They kind of got into the, well, God of War works, so we can just do that. And I'm like, bro, what about everything else y'all had, man? You had a whole ass. Man.
Twisted Metal was fire. Still,
it'd be one thing if it failed, but it didn't fail.
They didn't fail.
Like Jay said before, Microsoft showed up and Sony just went like, yo, we got to go compete with them. I don't know why they did that. I don't know what the case is with that. But even when you look at this VR situation to where they're in a lane by themselves for the big three, because Microsoft's not doing it and Nintendo damn sure ain't doing it anytime soon. So when you look at
moved HoloLens into like the healthcare industry, and they took it out of gaming.
Like, I'm like, I was gonna say, for example, like, one of the things they did, and granted, yes, it's good. You should jump on something if it's a cool idea so you can reiterate on it. But why did they kill Jet Moto like that? They didn't have to. 3 games on the same platform, bro. You didn't have to do that. And then now there's nothing new for you to do. That just bewilders me. You have the talent. You have a franchise now. Go along with that and make. These are the things that frustrate me, and I guess it's hard because if you're old school and you're used to like Sega and Nintendo doing these things, and seeing Sony with the money, seeing Microsoft with the money and the talent, and they're like, no,
nope, not going to do that.
It hurts so bad, man.
It is, and I think that's where the difference kind of happens, because I look at those that are about 10 years younger than me. They love the output. But I'm like, it's the same thing with a different coat of paint, and you don't necessarily care about anything, right? Because it's like, even when you talk about controllers, right? The moment that someone makes just a slight change, that means I got to relearn something. I don't want this. They don't like change, and that is inherently the problem.
That's so weird for me. And then, like, the change that we should be getting like how to control these games, how to develop new gameplay systems and stuff like that. We don't get those in lieu of, well, we can put more pixels on the screen. Or here's this new buzzword that actually lowers graphical quality because we have to sacrifice so many resources to get this one visual effect to show up. Right. So now, hey, well, the game is ray traced, but the NPCs don't know what to do when you bump into them. Like these are things that happen, and I don't know, man. I don't know what to say other than, I mean, capitalism, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully they get right, man. They need to get right.
Capitalism, baby.
Well, I would say this. I will say this one thing.
But then Nintendo makes money, so I don't understand. Exactly.
But I'll say this one thing, and I'll get off of PSVR because I don't feel right talking about it because it's not out. I'm gonna give it its due diligence whenever it comes out. But the one thing I'm seeing with Sony, they're still behind the ball curve because they're going down the wrong lane. They're going down the lane of graphics again. To where they're not going down as far as ideas, because, and this is why I say this, you look at the PS5 and what it can put out, and then you say, okay, well, this VR headset's coming, so that means that it should be on par with everything, and then you look at the specs and everything, and it looks good. But then you look at the top tier headset like a Index, and then something that's a little bit lower on the totem pole but still good in the sense of MetaQuest, right? When you look at all of the things that they have in common, they all have the ability to be played, and they all have typically about the same library. So then that means you have to start talking about exclusives, and then also the way that you play. The convenience is going to win, and then also the way you play is going to win every time. So the simple fact that we had apps like Immersed and Virtual Desktop that allowed you to play your PC VR games. Facebook, I'm tired of saying Meta, but Facebook saw that was lucrative. So they went out their way and made sure that AirLink was a thing that's built into the system with an update. So now you don't have to use Immerse no more. Immerse is literally a dead app at this point because now it's built into the system. Once when I was talking about the last show we were on about the streaming of PC VR games, guess what Facebook is doing now? They're finding a way for you to still not have to go out to any third-party source and for you to stream PC VR games to that Quest 2. Sony,
that's good.
Sony has to find something to differentiate themselves because
got to cut the cord.
They lost that battle already because they already have that one cord connected to the system. They've lost that battle, so now the only battle they can win is exclusivity. But we already see what the hell they're doing with that right now.
All right.
It's dead in the water as far as I'm concerned. For right now, it looks dead in the world. It may be pretty. It may be pretty, but nah. They're not
Resident Evil the same 4 thing VR. Come on.
But then they got Resident Evil. Well, they got Resident Evil 4 on the Quest built from the ground up. So what's the point? I don't know.
Horizon Zero Dawn on VR.
Man.
Come on.
You shoot a bow and arrow.
Bro, that junk look like.
I'm just waiting.
That junk like
Sony is
Pokemon
running
Snap,
that series
bro.
into the ground.
Look,
That junk like Pokemon Snap.
Can y'all
Legit.
Look, can y'all imagine the ridiculousness that's about to go down with this RE Village VR?
Oh my God!
Because you know what people gonna do? They gonna
buy
videos. It's gonna make great videos for sure.
They don't have to cut any kind of interactivity at that point. Like,
that poor 8 foot tall lady. That poor lady.
You already know.
Like, give me your face.
It's gonna be on the popping.
There's gonna be videos of people running right into her on purpose.
Right into
it. On purpose.
Like, why, bro? Why?
And you keep dying. I don't care. I don't care.
Best part of the game.
I thought of mine when the PC version came out. Dudes walking around with a spatula and like what? Like, bro, it got weird.
So the only way you could kill her is to hold a laptop in front of her and show all the Rule 34s of her. And then she'll just delete herself.
Well, didn't the voice actress do a response to some of the
yes, she did. It was funny. It was hilarious. Some of that stuff was like, bro.
I was like,
you need to get outside.
Get you a girlfriend.
Right.
Crazy, like,
what people will do, man.
Yeah. All right, so I don't know any other way to segue into this. So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Right. Pokemon. Pokemans.
They dropped the second trailer, and I was telling Sandstorm yesterday on his podcast why they made them kids look like they from Chronicles of Narnia.
Hey,
that's the new look.
That's the new look.
Straight up.
Straight up. The new look.
So, my Pokemon players, Jack.
Yep.
What you think?
Actually, I mean, I like the fact that cool. We got new Pokemon. I'm kind of on the mindset of, hey, just stop adding new generations. Like, yes, give us a new location, but dude, I've run out of. Now. They got way too many. I can't remember all these freaking Pokemon. Like, I'm not into it as in depth as I used to with the first 150, along with the the second generation.
100, yeah.
So I just looked at it. Sorry, yeah, that's some Narnia stuff, man.
Right now, the game in itself looks good for sure. I'm liking the multiplayer aspect of it from what I'm seeing, and the fact that they still continue the whole Arceus aspect of being open world, and how good these worlds look. So I mean, of course, love to see a lot more of the game, and I'm loving the cover Pokemon. Like those look dope to me.
Really Twitter says Arceus is an open world.
Oh yeah, I forgot, my bad.
Right.
But Twitter is about as credible as Wikipedia. I don't know. Like the fact that people literally try to prove me wrong with Wikipedia posts, I'm just like, all right, I see we're going nowhere.
Yeah, we're done.
But yeah, I'm thoroughly excited for the game. I was hyped for Arceus, and the fact that they're taking that concept and then adding it to the actual generation,
the main
line of the game. Yeah, so I'm excited. I mean, of course, I would like to see a lot more, but really, I mean, what you're getting with Pokemon.
Yeah,
right. I mean, unless they add like a new gimmick in there, with the whole, ginormous, the Gigamax stuff and all this other nonsense, or changing.
But you're forgetting one thing.
Pokemon stuff.
You're forgetting one thing. This game looks horribly rushed.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
It's coming out this year. They're gonna push it till next year. They're gonna push it to next year.
Man, this is not coming out in November. Y'all know it.
It needs to get real.
It needs to sit.
It's the fall game. Like,
they already said it was November 18th. Yeah, so it's gonna happen.
It needs to bake a little bit longer before they distribute it. But they're not.
Dude, they have one of the legendaries on the cover has jet engines for legs.
Hey,
I'm still trying to figure that out.
We already went about this. Yeah. That's the reason why he's a legendary, is because he can't fill up no gas. So ain't nobody gonna find him. He ain't on the road.
Look at him.
Yeah, gas prices is astronomical for him. He can't go nowhere.
Right.
You're gonna find him on that. You're gonna find him on that one pillar, and that's he ain't going nowhere. Yeah.
Why are you not going nowhere? Have you seen the price of gas? I'm not going nowhere.
He's like, bro. He said JP8 is like $1 million a gallon right now.
I run on jet fuel, not regular fuel. I ain't going nowhere.
Man.
Yeah, I mean,
you want a battle? I'll steal your money.
That's the key thing. Pokemon gonna always be Pokemon. Yeah. It's not gonna change up too much. Yes, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but nonetheless, I mean, I always pick them up. So
another 20 million plus year for Nintendo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because more people are gonna buy these just for the Pokemon. I'm guessing at this point.
Yeah. Here's the only thing that, because I'm just waiting for like we need to boycott this Twitter thing. I'm waiting for this looks bad, and then I'm waiting to see when it actually comes out where nobody can find it.
Here's my thing: for the next time y'all see tweets like that, ask them what happened to Temtem, the Pokemon killer. Yeah. I swore look better and play better. Now that game is officially out of beta now. All of a sudden, like that game took like 8 years to get out of beta, and now nobody's playing it.
I mean, there have been many Nintendo franchise killers that have come and gone.
Of course.
I mean,
look, we got to boycott the
Dark
game
Cloud,
to 1 and 2 the bestseller.
Right.
Yeah, because the only way it's gonna be a bestseller is if people boycott it.
You have to.
Yeah.
Like, how does
it's almost a tradition at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 3 weeks before it launches, just complain about a bunch of stuff. So we're gonna boycott it and then buy both versions of the game.
Yeah,
so we got to invite on. We got to get Baron on then, so we can talk about these N64 trees.
Yeah, you got to zoom in. And make sure you zoom all the way in too.
Got to zoom in.
That was so funny. On the subject of N64 trees, Sonic Frontiers, they released the gameplay vid. Okay, so I watched it, and
Yeah.
I had to watch the IGN's coverage of it. God dang it! But
weren't they like the only ones that had like the true coverage on the game?
one or
I
two.
think so.
IGN
Okay.
first.
Yeah. Okay.
So watched it, and I'm trying to figure out why people were mad about it. One,
I could figure it out.
they only show like I liked what I saw
Mm-hmm.
because one of the things I know I've been complaining about is it's a platformer that focuses on speed, but you always have to stop.
True.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop in this. They actually showed him fighting the way he's supposed to fight.
Yeah, it looks like all the combat and all the other abilities you can do while you're still moving.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only other game that did it like that was Sonic Adventure 2, where you can still move, and they had long enough stretches on the Sonic and Shadows stories where you can actually do the stuff that you're supposed to do. And once you learn the level, the platform and stuff ain't even a problem once you learn the level.
Right.
Because they made it where you can still either grind off of a rail, do the platform thing, grind back onto another rail, and keep the speed going. So this looks to me better because one, it's an open area, and you get to run around, and then stuff is there to make in the world so that you can interact with while still doing what you need to do. Otherwise, and they did show a fight with an enemy. And I'm like, okay, this is how Sonic should fight because that's how he fights in Smash. Y'all notice that?
Right. Yeah.
He does. He does. I think I'm gonna be the only one that's a negative Nancy on this one. I think I'm the only one. And the reason
I can understand if you say it's because I don't trust Sonic Team.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't trust them. But on another note, I was sitting there watching it, and then I watched it again. Something just felt out of place. Like it just like everything was gelling. Yeah, the combat was there, which it was cool. Whoever was playing it, I don't know. He kind of made it worse. I've been on that side to where you can watch a good game and then somebody bad play a good game and ruin the whole game for you. So it just didn't look right. But the levels were the random rails and I don't know. Something just looked off about the game. Maybe I need to see more because even when you look at something of like, I hate to bring it up, but Breath of the Wild, right? When I looked at the game, I got it. Like it seemed like everything kind of fit. And the purpose of the game, the meaning of the game, and I think that's the reason why with Sonic, I don't understand the purpose of why he's in
like there's details missing.
Exactly, a lot of details missing.
I get it.
So
like the rails just randomly be in the air and everything.
Random, and then the enemies just random. Like, what did Robotnik do? How are you getting into levels? Like, because I know you're not just going to do everything in this open world. With Zelda, I already knew that aspect of it because okay, I just go to this area to solve this shrine, puzzle, whatever. But within a Sonic game, because of what we're accustomed to, where are you going? How are you going? Like, why are you here? And that's how I have this strong feeling like this game may not be coming out this year, but nonetheless, I think that's what's missing. I love the aspect of being able to run, do what you're going to do, the combat, all that good stuff. But what do these rings mean? What do those little blue chips mean? How am I getting into these levels? What do those levels look like? It's a multitude of things that was missing that just didn't sit right. It looked good, but it just didn't sit right with me.
So, question, because I don't remember the 90s like super heavy, but why was the world in the 90s Sonic show like that? Like, because to me,
are you talking about Underground? Or are you talking about
no, the
original,
OG, the original,
the chili dog original,
chili dog eating Sonic. Because what I remember is like he was in a world, but like he had all those loops and like all that kind of weird stuff that didn't really like necessarily make sense. Yeah. So I feel like it almost pays homage to that. But I do kind of agree with you, Jay. And what's even weirder is that like there were some spots where there was some pretty heavy pop up. Okay, so that's there right now. Which I mean, obviously, this is earlier footage, so hopefully that's something that they'll work on, and like the field of view, because you could see a lot of pop in with that too. But if this is supposed to play off like kind of 90s setting, like I'm a little more okay. But that's I won't say that's got to be like directly said. It's just got to be like kind of hinted at. Like this is old fat Robotnik, you know what I mean? With the same kind of bushy, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so we're dealing with this kind of world. But yeah, if it's not that, then I need an explanation on what it actually is, a distorted world or what have you.
I mean, they could be taking one of the concepts from the old Archie comic series, because I think there was one version of Mobius where Robotnik actually won, and Sonic was trying to save the world, where he had to go back in time. But that again, that requires explanation on the game's part.
And they have to, because even like I'm looking at the gameplay again, it literally like with the rails by themselves literally looks like somebody did a custom level and just had them floating in the air. So I'm like, well, what's the purpose? Like, what's the point? Why is all of this here? I don't. But then again, like I said, I'm all about giving it time for sure. But for the first view of it, I'm like, I don't know.
Do you think they should have showed just a little bit of like story to give context?
They should have given some
the gameplay.
Because
which is kind of surprising. I feel like this is one of the very, very few games that have given you more gameplay than they have given you like any kind of story.
But I think they have to, though. I think that's old because of the backlash from other games. So they want to show you, hey, look, we're kind of getting back to at least Lost World levels of you can play this. It's playable. It's doable. It's not horrible. I think they're trying to show you that up front, and also they want to do the whole please compare us to Breath of the Wild kind of situation.
That's what it looks like.
I'm like,
and that's exactly what just popped up.
Do you want to do that though? Like Assassin's Creed try to do that too. It's probably not a good look. I don't like.
Well, imitation is a sincere form of flattery. So the only problem I have with that is like it happens with everything, because we see it every time. Every time a game gets popular, the next 4 or 5 down the line is going to have something.
Sonic game though?
Like Nintendo didn't even do that with their own stuff. Mario, they didn't just say let's make a Mario Breath of the Wild. That didn't happen.
That'd be wild.
Nintendo ain't never going to do that. They too crazy.
It's not.
They too crazy. They got way too many people in there that's like, hey man, I just had a crazy idea. What if we put Mario in a real world with real size people and play jazz on top of it?
Yep.
That worked, right?
Also, let's make an hour-long dedication to all 35 years of Mario. Like, and that's the whole level. Like, okay.
What if we take the bloopers from the first Mario game and turn them into and make a paint fighting third-person shooter?
It's crazy.
What? No. Yes.
I mean, you gotta think of them being crazy, where they could say, "Hey, let's take a game where we can throw liquid physics on the wall and make things swim in the paint."
Yeah. That's just it. Like
somebody was on the acid at that point.
Nintendo's whole team has to be.
Now I'm wondering what Nintendo's going to do with, say, like the Portal engine. You know, just like think of the things that they could do with that.
Star Fox.
Yeah. Actually, Star Fox will make a lot of
work really well.
Sense with that.
That will work well. Probably a future Metroid game will work well with that too.
Yeah.
That would be mind blowing.
If they did it with Metroid though, they'd do it in a way where like she will go into one and kick somebody so hard they fly through the other part of the planet.
Of course. They can't never be the enemy doing it to her.
They can do it with Eternal Darkness. The enemy
trying to run, she go grab him. She can use the grappling hook, grab him, bring him back in. All you see is the portal close. You just hear sounds and screams of violence.
Hey, that'll work.
So I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. The fact that they were willing to show the gameplay first, I'm kind of like, okay, y'all are trying. They did a fan survey. They've done gameplay tests, external gameplay tests, to ensure that, hey, what they're doing, they're at least getting the Halo 30-second loop thing right. So hopefully they come up with a good game. Now the whole problem is you don't told us you don't Zelda-fy this game. So what are you going to populate this world with that gives us that 30-second Halo loop for the entire map?
Right.
So the good thing about
hopefully it's not just this map.
Well, the good thing about that is in the story you can easily do that because Robotnik is crazy,
and
you can.
He has he has enough just stuff that he constantly builds to just populate it. That's not going to be a problem.
Insert random airship here, like it.
Right.
It works just
the
fine for
thing
him.
is, though, for storyline purposes, you always have to have someone that Sonic would need to be saving
Exactly.
or be coming into contact with, because he's got to either have allies or people to help.
I only have one request: do not Sonic 06 this.
Just bring Amy back.
Please, let's put in Amy Rose from Sonic 06.
Yeah, just don't give us Silver.
Because here's my thing, right? Seeing this open world, if I see Tails, I'm automatically thinking they're bringing planes in here, and I feel like this is going to be a hot mess of just throwing everything in the open world, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
I think we talked about that yesterday. It's like the
Tails can be there if he operates.
He can be there. He just don't need to be playable.
He can't be playable. The planes.
The only two people need to be playable is Sonic and Shadow. The only two people need to be playable.
For an open world game, and this is their first rump, they need to get this done with just Sonic.
True.
And then maybe in a future game, a sequel or DLC or something.
People gonna trip if they can't play with Shadow. So that's at this point,
because
Knuckles, whether it's gonna be DLC or not, them two gonna have to be playable. Now nobody else should be playable, but you can have them help out.
Shadow and Sonic, or Sonic and Knuckles.
Shadow and Sonic, not Knuckles.
Because Knuckles has been relegated to Piccolo.
Yeah.
So.
Pretty much.
When Shadow showed up in Sonic Adventure 2, that was it. Like, people love Shadow. So much so to the point they threw him in Sonic 2, in the Sonic 2 movie at the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? Like, we ain't supposed to go there yet.
Now I'm going to say something that is controversial to this, and it is going to be the total opposite of what Jack just said. They could bring Silver back. But listen, let me finish. But he'd have to have a Z targeting mode instead of just being able to whale objects without being able to see what you fighting. And two, he should use his telekinesis to fly across the ground for his speed. Those are two things they can add in that will make him a viable character, that people would like him to play with him, and just give him some of the traditional moves. And he'd be fine, but not as like your direct character. Like maybe like something at the end of the game, if Sonic gets caught up somewhere and Shadow's unavailable, then Silver would be to step in to try to save him or something like that. Sort of like taking what they did. Okay, go ahead.
I just want Rouge to play like Bayonetta. We can.
that could be a side game. That could be a whole side game.
Yeah,
I mean, she was a spy. So it makes
you know
sense.
what that means? Y'all know what that means? That means the next game they need to do Sonic Warriors.
No.
Oh god.
But I think this is just kind of like a foundation, because at this point, story or no story, the foundation of Sonic games have been trash. So if this is them building on it, I will take the leeway with the story. So that I'll leave that alone. But yeah, they got to do something.
Well, I think
I'm just thinking
springboards
and how to use those in a Breath of the Wild environment. Like, I could just think for days different ideas of ways to use springboards with the same physics that they're using like Smash. So as you throw one, the trajectory is still constant, no matter what angle the springboard is at. So if it's flipping through the air and you happen to hit it, it's going to bounce you whichever direction. And you can make a whole game around that. So I just think if they think about it in that way, and the physics are applied in that way, you probably have an endless amount of ways to interact in that world. It just depends on what Sonic Team decides to do at this point. Like I said, we got a director that's hit and miss, man. He's made some gems, and he's made some. Please don't look here.
Yeah. All right, so before we get
Sonic
out
Team
here,
is the talent. You can't say they don't know how to make a game. So
they know how to make games. They just
don't know how to make Sonic.
They just got ADHD too bad. But before we get out of here, Shadow, I'm glad you're here. With RE4 going to PC, Xbox Series, and PS4 and 5, I want to ask you this question because I know it's going to come up at some point. should Capcom look into trying to port that to Switch?
Yes, they should, because money exists. Why don't you want the money? That's that's the first thing I'm going to say. Why don't you want the money?
Before they start breaking out in halves, before people start breaking out in halves.
Do I need to explain it technically at all? Like, it should be easy for you.
It should be easy because the reason why I say this is because before, remember, the whole excuse was the RE engine can't run, right? That was the excuse.
Boot up Monster Hunter on Switch. Okay.
Yeah, boot up Monster Hunter Rise, which means if that can run on Switch, that means you made a version that can run, right?
Exactly.
So I'm just going to say something generically to the layman and people that don't understand tech. The Nintendo Switch, the majority of the reasons why developers had issues porting games from PS4 and even 360 to Wii U then at the time is because they didn't want to port the SIMD instructions that they were using on the CPU to Switch, because Switch wasn't that capable as far as SIMD instructions. You had to convert to integer because that's what those CPUs were strong at. They didn't want to change their intrinsics for that. Now you have a Switch CPU which has stronger intrinsics for SIMD than the PS4 does. Is faster per core per clock. Obviously, PS4 has a faster clock, but Switch doesn't need higher clocks because it's not running games at higher frame rates and higher resolution. So that's kind of null at this point. What stops your engine from running other than you as an individual? For all intents and purposes, the Steam Deck that everybody wants to claim you could play PS4 games on the go, that's what the Switch was designed to do. Hey, we make Nintendo games, also third parties. Yeah, you can make these games. They'll be anywhere between 300 to 720p on the go right here. Just take your engines. All these engines work now. Go. And we have real good tools too. And if you don't think your tool works, call NVIDIA. They're right down the street. They built our stuff, and I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. Also, it's in a tablet. So if your game is running on Google Play Store, why isn't it running on Switch?
Which a lot of these games are actually
with it running on top of an OS. So why isn't it running on Switch without that big of a overhead? So real quick, there's we could link to it. I could drop the link in the chat here. But I showed a video. I linked the video in our private chat earlier when we were talking about this, and you're talking about a CPU that only has 2 cores. It does have 8 gigs of RAM, but it's not really using it because Windows 10 is using the majority of the 8 gigs of RAM. And an integrated GPU, which runs at 300 megahertz versus Switch running at 700 plus or what have you, right? Switch is every bit of almost, I want to say twice, if not 200% faster than this one CPU. And you're running Resident Evil 2 Remake on it in like sub 720p. The frame rate dips anywhere between 19 and 30 something frames per second, almost 40 frames per second in some scenes, right? And they took some settings off, like some dynamic shadowings off or whatever, but the game is working with no optimization whatsoever. This is just a core PC game working on something that weak. All I have to say is you can just take that and put it on Switch and it's going to run better. And we're not even talking about optimizing at this point. We're not talking about using boundless textures or anything that's native to Switch to make performance even better. We're just talking about taking that trash version that runs on an integrated CPU right now, no GPU involved at all, an integrated CPU, and it works just fine. So you can't tell me the RE engine doesn't work on this platform.
Well,
because it works with zero effort, so you know it's going to work with effort.
I've had the thing in my mind though, and maybe I'm wrong here in thinking this, but isn't RE engine based upon the exact same engine that was used in Resident Evil Revelations?
Yeah,
which
it was
worked
them
on the 3DS.
Yeah, it was their rebuild.
Yeah, it was the rebuild.
If it's based upon that, and that worked on the 3DS, what would make people think it wouldn't work on the Switch? Besides,
that's what was told.
Capcom saying so.
That's what Capcom said.
Just bare minimum thinking here.
Inconsistent.
If you look at a game that's high fidelity or whatever, right? and it's running in 4K. Now the game is running at 720p. You have now decreased the demands for that same game eightfold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do I need to say more? That's bare minimum. That's just common sense at this point. That's not me trying to, I have to find an excuse to make this work on. No, the tools are there, bro.
Right.
This is modern technology. We're post 2012 now. This is technology that was invented in 2015, at the end of 2015, and it was the fastest SoC on the planet at the time. It was the fastest mobile SoC of the planet. Apple had to beat them, and they're a $1 trillion company. So there are no excuses, bro. No excuses.
Wasn't the OG Resident Evil 4, wasn't that exclusive to GameCube for a while?
For about 3 years.
That kind of blows my mind that they wouldn't take that same track.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with how many are sold on the Switch.
I mean, they won't even bring back Beautiful Joe, so why is that surprising?
Killing me at that point. They'll come up with an excuse and say Beautiful Joe can't run either. They'll just be like, well, the way the GameCube spins the disc, it just can't. I don't.
It's just the way it spins the disc.
Looking at them like, what?
The RE5 start screen couldn't even run on the Wii. Like, okay.
Yeah. All right.
But Revelations is running on the 3DS.
It wasn't making any money, and then y'all quickly threw RE Revelations on 3DS.
Looking good too on 3DS.
Like I said, they do what they want to do, man. There's no rhyme or reason for it.
It was funny. I thought, and Shadow knows why I asked him that, because I thought it was funny because for the longest, me and him was trying to say it can run. They just have to tweak it. Oh no, the RE engine can't run. They were trying to compare it to like Frostbite. And I'm like, Frostbite could run
like that.
Frostbite's trash anyway.
Yeah. So Monster Hunter Rise drops. The first thing you see on there is RE
engine.
It's the first thing you see. I'm like, I thought it couldn't run.
But that
can't run that though.
It just goes
like, well, that game's different though.
Yeah, it's different.
Not that different. Same engine.
Yeah.
But that's
the engine runs differently while it's playing that game.
I will say this. I will say this for every person that says the game can't run on Switch, there is a video of it running on a low-end PC that is weaker than Switch. And that low-end PC is also running Windows,
which is a lot heavier than the Switch OS.
Yes.
Yep.
That I'll just leave that there. I don't even have to delve into details at that point. That exists. That is a reality. So I don't know where people are coming from with this. And when you question them on, they're just like, well, obviously it can't. What do you mean by why is it obvious?
Eyeball test.
That reminds me of when somebody before Minecraft went to Wii U and 3DS, and the dude made the mock-up video, and I commented on there, it'd be cool if they could put it on the 3DS and have the 3DS and the Wii U versions work together. And then some dude popped up and said, well, this couldn't be run on the 3DS. A year later, it's on the 3DS.
Yep. Late as hell, but it was there.
Well, maybe 2 or 3 years
later. The demand for pixels is like, it's the same as Wii. Like, what are we doing? Like, one screen is 240p. Like, why are we even worried about? Come on, bro. It doesn't make any sense to me at this point. Like, if the core main game engine can work on a calculator, it can work on any mobile platform. So there's zero reason. Like, these guys aren't out here making the grandest databases inside these game worlds. They're not doing it. They're not heavy like that. They're making graphically demanding game worlds, but those can be shrunk down by default. They're meant to be scalable. So as you decrease resolution, the demand goes down.
And plus, let's not pretend like RE4 is some open world. No,
it's Unreal Engine 5. That's what it's like. It's the equivalent.
So Wilson put it great in the chat right there, because Digital Foundry tried to make a mock-up video. They said if we created these specs for the Switch, it would run this bad or whatever. And then Yeah, and then that's when the port came out, and then the postmortem said, there's a lot of junk code in Witcher 3, so we just threw all that trash away, and we had a lot of stuff running with just one core.
Wasn't it Saber Interactive that ported it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we found all that stuff and threw it out.
Yep. And then they ended up updating the other versions of the game, which
made it better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go figure, right?
That should take it, like, that should make you stop and think, like, man, wow, we really need to do better. Like, a whole other company came, and not only did they make it run on the system, but it made our original game better. Like,
that's when you have a group meeting. The executive walks in and says, "Okay, we need to have a talk one-on-one.
Yeah,
can't be we can't be looking bad in front of these people, and they just throwing out your code and like, what are y'all doing? Like, what is exactly? Did we just hire? I think we hired the wrong people.
Right.
They threw out your code, which fixed a bunch of your glitches. We don't have horses swimming in midair no more.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine if NetherRealm built Mortal Kombat 11 just for Switch instead of having to get somebody to port it.
Now, Shadow,
save them a lot of money.
The way they were going to do that was if Sub-Zero was going to be in Smash. Y'all did not vote for him on the player.
This is true.
Y'all did not vote on
his
the
business.
Vote.
We understand.
I mean, but it did make Ed Boon eat his words.
Yeah.
Because he was never gonna. He was like, talk to Nintendo, and you went and talked to Nintendo once you saw that Amiibo money.
Yeah,
and they still didn't give it to you.
With the quickness. But Ray makes a good point. I think a lot of the problem, especially now with like companies like EA, Ubi, Activision, a lot of these companies, they're not ran by people who love games. They ran by people who like to invest in stuff to keep their millions and billions running, which means they don't care about crunch time. They don't care about the game. Get me my money. Release the game, sir. It needs to go through quality assurance. Release the game, but sir, we need to. What did I say?
Patches come later
this year.
The real life versions of Tom Nook.
So that's basically what it is, and I'm like, optimizing. You're supposed to optimize your stuff anyway. Anybody that does coding or anything, you always have to go back 10, 20 times to optimize your stuff. Because somebody else might pick up something that you missed.
I'll say one thing. I said this last week, right? I don't want to fault the developers. The developers always want to do a good job. The support team always wants to do a good job. They don't have the time. Thank you. They don't have the time, nor do they have the funds because they want to do overtime or what have you. Nobody's paying them. They don't know where their next check is coming from.
Right.
It's the publisher's fault, and we never hold the publisher accountable.
That's true.
We can't blame Sony because one Call of Duty game works bad on the PlayStation 4 or whatever. Like, no, that's Activision.
Yeah,
they decided to make that version trash or what have you, or the version of Skyrim that was really bad on PS3. That's not Sony's fault.
Right.
That's not Sony's fault. Everybody knew that the PS3 was going to be one of those weird systems where you had to write to the metal for it, and you decided you're going to port this game to the PS3 because you wanted some of that. At the time, I guess it was like a 50 million user base. You wanted a piece of it, bruh. You make your game work.
Yeah.
And so you blame all the glitches on the hardware. No, you had a team that was coding for that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they could have made a really good product. How much money did you put into them?
Right.
I'm still laughed to this day about how that game won Game of the Year for so many years with all them bugs and glitches. So much so
on
to the
PC.
Yeah, so much so
you can't blame the hardware on PC.
Yeah,
nostalgia.
But the thing that killed it was when Fallout came out and they had all them problems. People start talking about nostalgic glitches. Like, what are you talking about? Nostalgia. There's no such thing. That game is broken. It doesn't work. No,
that's
a talking nostalgic.
Point. That's a talking point because they've already picked their favorites.
Yeah. So I've always found that to be funny, but. That's good.
How Pokemon gets a bad rating for having too much water.
First of all, Nintendo will always get called out for F-Zero.
F-Zero's too hard. It's unintuitive.
But we want it.
Or you're just
Right.
bad.
We'll make it.
Get
Yep.
good.
All right.
I mean, F-Zero Wave Race. That's,
Well, now Metroid, because bad game.
but
design,
Metroid's
so.
happening though.
Metroid
Metroid is at least happening.
People were saying Xenoblade Chronicles X had bad game design, and it was too long and it was too difficult. Blah blah blah. Oh, but we beat it though. We beat it. We just
No, you didn't.
We just
No, you
think that,
didn't.
bro, you didn't get the flight model.
It was a little too long. Yeah.
Hey, Shad, I know you remember this one. Remember how we was talking about how good X was, and everybody was clowning us for saying that?
Yeah.
And then what have they been asking to get ported?
Of course. Why do you
How
want
many-
to port? I thought it was trash.
How many people have we seen on Twitter? Because I was
X was trash because you can walk
somebody
through
out.
cars. You
I
can
was
walk
calling
through cars,
somebody
you can
out
walk
last
through
week, and I'm
people.
like, wait a minute, you spent the whole time hating
Whole last
it, and now
generation.
all of a sudden
Because-
they need to bring it.
I'm going to say this, as I have said many times before: a game is trash one place, it'll be trash another place. So if the
Yep.
game is good on one console, guess what? That means the console was good, because if the game was good and it was built around the console, guess what that means? It's not anything difficult to understand. The logic tracks. If you're trying to say that the console is trash and the games are good, then you are backwardsly using logic. And I know that sounds
Gee.
stupid, but I have to apply it to the way people
That was a
talk.
trash console. But
Yep.
you're playing
But you
all the
asked for
games.
all these
Great
games.
games. Yeah. That
Playing
don't
all
even
the
make
games
sense.
for
When are they gonna port Wind Waker and Twilight Princess? They could just do it.
Good.
Or
I
you
mean,
can
they
just
won't.
play
Why
it on
should
the
they?
Wii U.
Yeah, why would I
Yeah.
do that? You ungrateful heretics. So yeah, at this point, I just find that funny. I just really find that funny.
So have we ever received a console that just flat out didn't work? Like it was just
Virtual Boy. That
I
was the
wouldn't
only
count
one.
Because it
I would
messed
count
people's
that
eyes
as
up.
Virtual
Yeah.
Boy for a lot of people, like epilepsy, all kind of little stuff.
Yeah.
going on.
That was
Like it worked fine for me, but
Yeah,
Right.
well, that was before people like really,
Mhm.
followed that from a medical standpoint. So
Right.
people were throwing up. That was happening, and it was happening at the demos.
So
Yes.
even with that,
Yeah,
if we can only say Virtual Boy, then that means that the software is now the next thing that would be, I guess you could say, a problem with a console. So if you want the software, then that means there's nothing wrong with the hardware, like Shadow said.
yeah, the game works.
You can't.
I mean, it was the same
Because-
thing with GameCube though. It was the same thing with GameCube because the GameCube. Remember, the excuse was it was mini disc. I'm like, that
Yeah.
has nothing to do with that.
And the GameCube can't do big open world games, and then
Why
open world
couldn't
games
it?
come out that weren't Grand Theft Auto, and people were
Right.
like, "Well, those are different." I'm like, no,
That's it.
They
Different.
that
specifically
still
made
looks like
those
the
games.
scale
for those.
model of
Mhm.
Los Angeles. I don't know.
True
What the
Crime was
fuck you talking
running
about?
fine. True Crime ran just fine.
Mm-mm-mm.
They came up with all these weird excuses. Oh,
Yeah.
well, the fill rate here is way bigger, so therefore we can't. I'm like, okay, sure,
Okay,
that's fine, well and good. Why is this Grand Theft Auto game on the freaking Game Boy? Please explain that to me.
Why is
Just explain.
Grandia 2 an old game on PS2? If PS2 is so much better, why is it all jacked up?
Mhm.
That played better on Dreamcast than it did on PS2.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just bewildering to me how you can say a console was bad, but you won all the games for it. It
Oh.
seems to me like that was a good console. Then if
Right.
all the games for it, you won it.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
It's even more ridiculous because you say like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, for example, you want those to be ported over to the Switch, but really, honestly, you asking for the Wii U version, but you can't get the
but you
Wii U
can't
version.
get it.
Yep.
You're
Yeah.
really getting the GameCube version.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's what you
version
gonna
you
get.
get.
Well, you would be getting the GameCube version with the Wii U graphics.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just typed Simu in right on YouTube. The Simu install guide first hit 451,000 views.
Yep.
I thought Wii U was a trash console.
Nah, they don't want that. They just want
They
to
don't
see
want
other
it.
people play it.
Mm-hmm. That's reality right there. See, other people. So I can go back to Twitter and say, "Hey, this is what Nintendo's supposed to be doing."
Yeah.
Oh
That's all
yeah,
it is.
yeah. Because I
See
had
this
that
other
conversation.
person, they did it better.
Yep.
Yeah, I had that conversation with someone. Somebody brought up Simu. I brought it back up to him like that doesn't make any sense. Then they accused me of bringing up Simu.
Wow. No man try to Bugs Bunny you.
I'm not even talking. I'm not even talking to you anymore because you can't even remember what you just typed.
And then when you hit them with that, and when you hit them with that logic or whatever, and you're like, bro, then that means you want the games. That means the console wasn't ever that bad. Then they gish gallop you, and they're just like, well, it couldn't run this, and it can't run that, and it can't do this, and because of this, blah blah blah. I said, man, you said so many false things at one time. I'm just going to invalidate you talking altogether.
They're technically right. It can't play games that weren't developed for it.
Exactly. It weren't developed for it. That's why I don't understand why. That's the other thing I don't understand. Like I never get mad when something gets ported somewhere else. Like Octopath Traveler got ported. I ain't get mad. I'm like, yeah, y'all need to play it because I want them to make another one.
Hey, that's how you get
the people you want.
So Wilton summed it up the best way. That's probably the best sentence explains it all. They want Wii U games, but not a Wii U.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that's exactly.
If you ever played it, but if you ever played Wind Waker or Twilight Princess or Xenoblade Chronicles X on a Wii U, you're not going to want to play it anywhere else because you're not going to want to have to keep
man.
But here's my thing though. Like this is the main question. I've never seen anybody ask this question. Well, maybe someone has, but I've never seen an actual answer. What entices you to want this Wii U game now? Like what happened?
Nothing.
Nintendo's
popular. You weren't playing
that. Yeah. I get that. Okay. Yeah.
They're popular. So now I want the games that was on there because that console was just so unplayable. I mean, look at Star Fox Zero. It was just so unplayable.
It was so unpopular. That's what they didn't want to do.
Yeah. But
it's the tagline.
Here's something I know nobody outside of us and maybe the few people that listen on my channel will understand the question. But why is it okay? Why is it not okay to downgrade a game from PS4, 5, Xbox Series, or 1 to the Switch, but it's okay to downgrade the game from the Wii U to the Switch? Why is it okay?
Yeah, because you lose all kind of stuff. It's like, hey, port it from Wii U to Switch, bro. Like, you understand you're losing the whole screen?
Yeah, the whole screen. Yeah,
and if you played it on the Wii U, like Wilton just said,
it's not the same.
It's not the same, and you're not gonna want to like me playing. I'm not gonna want to play Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on Switch because of this right here. Inventory and map control.
Yep.
I love this game, but it hurt playing Steam World Dig 2.
Yes,
I played Steam World Dig 1 on Wii U.
Yes,
it hurt, bro. It hurt. It's not the same.
Yep.
Playing Guacamelee on the Wii U.
Oh man,
Axiom Verge, any of those games, Shantae, like it's not
Shovel
the
Knight.
same.
Yeah, it is not the same. There is a reason why it keeps trending every month.
Yep.
There is a reason. And there's also a reason you'll be paying $500 if you want one. So
that's crazy.
Not selling mine.
And I am here for it. This is the one time I actually scalpers do your job.
Me for my $500 copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X, Jay. It's not happening. It's not happening. Luckily, I have guns. No.
Luckily, I downloaded it.
You can have my Series X if you give me a Series S, though.
What if I give you a copy of Xenoblade Chronicles 2? Still, Torna, go to country, physical, steel book.
You might have a deal, man. Torna.
We got live auction going on.
That's how you make it trade.
Right. That sound like an even swap right there.
According to the cost, yes.
They both $500 right now.
That's according to the cost, yes. Of course it is.
Like we trading games like at console prices.
So, before we go, with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 dropping in a little over a month, are y'all planning on picking up a physical copy just to be on the safe side?
Yes,
for sure,
definitely.
I'm not making that mistake again. I'm not doing that again.
Then I gotta get the collector's edition whenever that pop up.
Yeah.
I can't make that mistake.
I was thinking to myself, like, you know what? I better do this just because I got a bad feeling they're gonna do it. This is gonna happen all over again.
Yeah,
don't be me.
Yeah.
I bought Torna through the DLC method. I shouldn't have done it. I should have bought the copy.
The thing was, because as soon as that jump went to 20, I told everybody, I'm like, hey, go to Walmart right now. It's at $20. Go get it.
I think
It's in my inbox. It's in my my cart on Best Buy, $20, and I'm like,
Right.
should I?
I
No,
look.
I already have the game. I already beat it. Like I don't need to buy.
I went to
Nah,
GameStop
look
and saw it a
forward.
few times.
Mhm.
I was looking at it too. I picked it up. I was like, I haven't finished 2 yet. I'm good. I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off.
In the face, just all in the face.
Right there. So
And
now,
you look at it, $300.
exactly. So now, did anybody play the freaking kickoff thing this weekend?
Okay, so I was gonna bring this up, but I never got to actually play an actual
Me
game
either.
because every time I went on, I pretty much just missed it.
Yep.
Next time the demo go for the whole weekend.
Oh, that's
I don't
right.
know why
You
they
were
don't ever
telling
do
me.
that.
You were telling me about it, and I completely forgot about it myself.
But I was able. They did allow people to do the tutorial,
Okay.
so it's very easy to pick up and play to me.
Okay.
So just doing the tutorial, but I'm not gonna be able to play it till next Friday when it's actually dropped.
Right.
Because I understand stress tests, but the best way you do a stress test is not by limiting the time. It's
that don't make
in this
sense.
situation, you let it run. Let it run the whole weekend. And
Right.
Let it crash.
What you working with.
Let it crash. Yep.
Yeah, let it crash. You got your people looking at it right there. That's their whole purpose. Yes, they're gonna have to stay. They're gonna have to stay a little bit because they're gonna have to monitor. But that's why you have shifts for it.
Right.
So it's one of those situations where they should have just let it ride. But I say the same thing about Switch Sports. They should have let it ride the whole week.
Yeah.
And just let it be global. That way you don't have to worry about it. You can just see what every region's doing, how it's pinging off everybody, and go from there. But I only got to play I only got to do the tutorial. So I love the way it looks. It plays smooth to me. I'm just not gonna be able to do nothing until
it actually come out.
Goes. So yeah.
I'm ready for it, man. I was gonna play it because they did it Friday and today, but missed them both.
Yeah, because like there was one, like for us on the East Coast, like there was only one afternoon time. It was like 4,
which was not
4 to
work.
5. Like the other time was like midnight, and then there was one more time at like 11. I think last night was like 11 to 12.
Yeah, those like weird times, man.
They'll be having wild times with these demos.
Bruh. I don't know if y'all know this, but I done got older, so I love going to sleep.
Man.
Unless I got a reason that I have to stay up.
Right.
Hitting that 11 o'clock point is like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Bro.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, I'll be having to get up early anyway. So I can do that easily.
Yeah. So all right, people, we're gonna call it a night. Thank everybody in the chat for joining. We really appreciate it. We love the interaction. Shadow, anything you want to pimp out?
No, channel's dead, rebuilding. Dark Void has a good question right there, but that would be a whole nother podcast.
A whole nother podcast.
Because you got some. I mean, I know I'm probably. I don't know if I'm the oldest guy here on the thing right here, but I got NES games that are probably pretty rare. But no, I don't really have anything. So play games, impress people, I guess.
All right, Sandstorm.
I would say that it's not with me now, and unfortunately, like it's killing me still to this day. But I had a copy of Tomba that I was very, very reluctant to get in a secondhand store, and I unfortunately gave that away. And it's still right here. But you know, we've got some stuff over there. I'm not gonna say it's nowhere near as rare as these other guys, but So Tuesday we have the part 2. Usually we do I got mine on Tuesday, but we're actually going to do the part 2 of our E3 mock-up. We're supposed to have special guests. So it's going to be at 8:30. Usually I got mines are at 5, but because of time zones, if that gives you any hint of who it's probably going to be, it's going to be at 8:30, and we're going to finish the rest of the mock-up for that. Saturday is usually our other Stormcast. We are not doing a Stormcast.
That's my away screen. Sorry.
We usually do our Stormcast on Saturdays. Unfortunately, it is Baby Sandstorm who was just in here. It is her birthday weekend, so we will be having fun with that. unless Trey Vito actually does something. I'm not sure if he is or not. I don't know. I haven't really talked to him. So, but usually Tuesdays and Saturdays are our time. So make sure you come on through and join us for those as well. Subscribe to all these people over here. Make sure you hit the like button as well on this video because it definitely deserves it, and that's why you were here in the first place, to hit the like button.
All right, Andre.
I mean, I don't have anything new, but the Street Fighter 5 discussion that Jay and I did on my channel for some reason has been getting more views. Not 5, 6 has been getting more views since this last trailer at the State of Play. So if you're interested, Game Idea Foundry episode 4, Street Fighter 6, check it out. And again, see if you can find the similarities between what we talked about and some of the stuff that popped up in the actual trailer. Be a nice little drinking game to do. Maybe you might end up drunk.
Spoilers: the Xbox version has Jago in it.
Oh wow!
It wouldn't surprise me.
All right, Jack.
I'm on the same path as Shadow. Channel dead. But definitely hit the like button here. But murked off. It was bloody and ugly, but definitely for sure. Like everybody here on the channel for sure. As far as rarest game, honestly, I don't have too many of my games that I hold on to other than like the digital ones on my PC. But nonetheless, yeah. So follow everybody here, like everybody's channel. I'm gonna definitely while I got y'all here, I'm gonna start gearing up doing weekly episodes for my other podcast that I have for the Insightfully Ignorant podcast, and I'll reach out to you guys too, see if y'all want to jump on some of those topics. And for anybody here, if you know, of course, we all love video games, but then of course we do have our current events and personal lives too, that we tend to not bring up here, but nonetheless, it's something that does need to be discussed. So I'll definitely reach out to the team here for some episodes, but definitely that's going to be on a consistent basis too, coming up here pretty soon.
All right. As for me, the rarest game I own is probably the Killer Instinct SNES black cartridge.
Oh, you got the flag on.
Yes.
Oh,
I also have that copy in the box.
But since my original SNES doesn't work. But other than that, I do have a copy of Tatsunoko vs. Capcom from the Wii that.
Ooh, that's one I'm so mad I gave up too.
Yeah, I have Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. I might do that one for I got mine this week.
So does anybody else have the copy of the Metal Slug anthology where they had the mistake on the back of it and it said it was 4 players?
No,
before they corrected it, because I got that.
I don't have that.
I have the Ikaruga copy for GameCube that had the arrow on the back from IGN, but that's the only rare copy I have for GameCube. I think, other than Twilight Princess itself, there's not too many people got the GameCube version.
Right.
Yeah. So that's that was probably the only 2 rare games I really have is like the black cartridge of Killer Instinct for SNES, and I still have my copy of Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, and it still holds up. So I have not scratched it, thank God. Yeah. So that's that. All right, people. So we did have a fresh take this morning with Vicky. We talked about Kenobi episode 3. So if you guys want to check that out, please check out Fresh Take. We will be back next Sunday. Stuff might be a little bit weird because they still haven't released the full slate of what's going on. We know Summer of Games starts Thursday, but it's going to be a weird dynamic because I think it starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, I think. So it's going to be a little bit weird, but we do have Guerrilla Games going on Saturday. I think from noon to 1, they do all the indie stuff. So I'll be doing that. And we do have on the 12th at 1 is going to be the Xbox and Bethesda presentation. Now, because they're going to have that there, that's when we're going to have our podcast. We're just going to do a live reaction to that. We're not going to have a podcast that night. We're just going to do it from 12 to 1, the live reaction plus whatever we want to talk about from whatever Bethesda's going to put out that's clearly not going to be working at launch. So, that being said, we will see you guys next Sunday. Once again, thank you guys for interacting and stopping by and hanging with us for an hour and a half. We really do appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next Sunday at 12. Yeah, next Sunday at 12. Yeah, 12. Peace out, peoples.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.